The Chicago Bears have officially released their unofficial depth chart, and there are some interesting aspects to who has been placed where. From surprise starters to players further down the depth chart than us fans would expect, we're going to break it all down. We will also discuss the places on the roster where we most anticipate changes happening before Week 1 on Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm Justin Oniemi, joined with Rob Schwartz from Bears Goggles On and Bob Weiss. We will discuss all of that and more on this episode of the HEATS Huddle.
That's right. And you're going to want to make sure you are subscribed to our channel. We have a great promotion giveaway going on right now. It's our path to 1,500 subscribers. We're just shy of 1,300 right now, and we're going to make our way to 1,500 by you subscribing now. And if you comment on this video and any video between now and when we get to 1,500 subscribers, you will be entered into a giveaway where our top prize is a Bears jersey of your choice. Second prize is a Foco bobblehead. And third prize will be a HEATS Huddle t-shirt. So subscribe and comment now.
Let's get into the depth chart, guys, because this is exciting times. The Chicago Bears are getting a little bit crazy. They're getting crazy. I want to talk defense first. Can we talk defense first? I know it's a little bit strange, but
the midway.
Yeah, I think everybody's obsessed about Caleb Williams and what's the offense going to do because of Ben Johnson. But the Chicago Bears are going to run an illegal lineup every week, so they're golden. They got 12 players on the field according to their starting lineup, and they're going to be running a 5-2. They're basically running nickel as their base package if this is the official depth chart. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Those are the two things that stood out to me the most on defense. Is again, this is unofficial. Like this is not real. So I was glad to see my guy Jervon Dexter is in that Tier 1 first player category. So that was exciting for me because I know a lot of people are saying he hasn't been producing. Some people are saying that he's not in good graces with the coaching staff. Some people are saying he's going to be playing in a different position than defensive tackle. So that was something that stood out. But yeah, but only 2 linebackers. Like that was interesting.
Yeah, Bob, so what you're saying, in case anyone hasn't actually seen this unofficial depth chart that came out, they literally list 5 defensive linemen as starters, which is a unique formation, only 2 linebackers, and then 5 defensive backs. So they list 12 starters on defense, but only 11 on offense. Now, I make that distinction because when we did our one of our teams or something, we did 12 on both because we did 3 wide receivers plus tight end. So I thought maybe the Bears were doing that, but they didn't list 3 starting wide receivers on offense. So it's just kind of strange that they made a point to say that there's 12 starters on defense. Obviously, we don't expect them to start 12 players. 5 defensive linemen would be wild. I would love to see how that actually comes to fruition. And then if they do that, it's probably 1 linebacker and still those 5 defensive backs if they go that route.
So all you Bears fans, alarmists out there who are so worried that the offense is, floundering, it turns out defense had 12 men on the field the whole time. So no. Now the 5 defensive linemen, I think, speaks to the immense amount of depth they have on the interior of the defensive line. So they listed kind of like 3 interior defensive linemen with Grady Jarrett, Jervon Dexter, and Andrew Billings. But Montez Sweat actually talked about the fact that Dennis Allen has been toying around with different fronts, including 5 defensive linemen, 4 defensive linemen, 3 defensive linemen. We know he likes to get creative. You have playmakers. That's great to see. That's why they listed the 5 defensive backs. Now I want to talk about real quick. Ben Johnson goes out of his way to say like everything's an open battle to win and, throw away the past in a sense. But yet when you look at it, rookies were way, way down on the depth chart. And a guy like Tyreek Stevenson, who by some reports was on the outside looking in on cornerback 2, that's where he ends up on the depth chart. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, that honestly doesn't surprise me at all. Just because, they get these guys in camp that, they probably wanted to see Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith on the side that they're most likely going to be playing on. And that's probably the reason why Nashawn Wright was playing for Jalen Johnson. And look, we just talked about it on our last episode, Justin. Like, if Jalen Johnson isn't healthy by week 1, then Wright is going to have to play that position most likely. So Yeah, it's interesting to see that and how that's going to play out. I don't know. Nothing else really stood out to me as far as like depth goes.
Oh, I got something.
Do you?
You were saying defense only. That's why I stayed. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Bob?
I mean, we'll talk a little bit more way up to the offensive side, but it's almost like this unofficial depth chart is completely meaningless because it doesn't adhere to anything that the reports out of camp are about who's ahead of who, where, who's getting the playing time, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, I'm not saying it's fun to talk about. Here we are talking about, but like it's not anything that's actually hinting towards the way the depth chart actually will be. I think it's clearly being used as something only to motivate the players, right? I think that's really all it is. It's funny that I think 2 or 3 episodes ago, we talked about how the defensive backfield depth chart would be completely blown up and completely different than what conventional wisdom was at the beginning of camp. And here this depth chart comes out and it is exactly what you would have expected it to be at the beginning of camp. So I don't exactly know what Ben Johnson was trying to get at with this. It's fun for all of us trying to do content. It's great that it came out, but I just don't, especially on the defensive side of the ball here, I don't see much that we can really make of it.
Well, on the offensive side, there's a lot to talk about, and I'll lead into it with the rookie bias there seems to be. Luther Burden listed as wide receiver 5 behind Devin Duvernay. I mean, Duvernay is a return specialist. That's why he's kick returner 1, punt returner 1. But there's no way Burden's behind him as a receiver. But it could be motivation. Monungai, you hear he's taking reps with the 2s. He's behind Ian Wheeler, which, I like Ian Wheeler. He's behind Travis Homer. That's a guy I'm not even sure will make the 53. That'll be an episode in the future. And then, of course, at left tackle, we hear a lot about Ozzie Trebillo. Bob, you were probably the happiest dude in Chicago when you saw Braxton Jones as the starting left tackle. Let Braxton cook, right, Bob?
It's his job. I mean, it's his job until it's not anymore, right? And Ozzie Trebillo's got to just be way, way, way better than him to get it. But that's what the other thing I just kind of talked about before. Reports are that Ozzie's getting a majority of first-team reps here. Now, how much is it because they're limiting Braxton's reps, maybe just because the ankle's still not there? But when you hear, Braxton Jones just literally had an entire day of snaps with the 1, and then the next day the depth chart comes out and he's number 2. Just like, what are we doing here? What's the point of all of this? But yeah, I did like to see Braxton Jones still as a tackle 1. I still think that I just don't believe that Ozzie is just way better than Braxton Jones already. I just haven't heard that much in camp that, he's unstoppable. It's like, no, he still gets beat. He's not just some wall up there. He's just an average player, just like Braxton Jones is an average player. So let's let Braxton, be rewarded for the work that he's put in. Let him get his free agent contract in the offseason, and then it could be Ozzie's time to shine. The other thing that I thought was interesting on the wide receiver spot, though, was J.P. Richardson being like dead last, wide receiver 14 or something like that, like behind Tyler Scott and Samori Toure, 2 names that you haven't heard at all in camp. And here's J.P. Richardson, a guy Ben Johnson's talking about at the podium in his press conferences. And here he is, wide receiver 13 or whatever it comes out to. So, again, I just don't know what to make of it all.
Well, if he gets opportunities in the specialist game, will he jump 6 spots as a wide receiver? I mean, that's maybe his best chance to stand out. Is run back a punt in the preseason.
You guys keep talking about skill positions, left tackle, and I'm just disappointed that my favorite comedian is a 3rd stringer and Luke Newman, the rookie, got to the 2nd string in the lineup. I mean, that's impressive for him, but poor Bill Murray, man, he's comedic relief now.
You just have to trade in all your Bill Murray jokes for Hello Newmans.
There you go.
Perfect. Not a joking matter. Ryan Bates is still.
I was just gonna say, Ryan,
first guy off the 2nd team to get first team reps, so that's still there.
But he's been practicing.
Yeah, he's been practicing. You haven't heard him being unhealthy.
That's what I was just about to say. If he's healthy enough to play, he probably is the best guy to be in that position. So what about expected changes? Looking at this other than not playing 12 guys on Monday night against the Vikings, what changes should we expect between this, which they've definitely labeled as unofficial, to the official week 1, at least at the starter level, what do you guys think are the biggest things that might have some changes?
I mean, you guys hinted at it already. Luther Burden is not going to stay where he's at, right? Like, he's got too much talent to stay down there. They're going to get him out on the field. I honestly, by the end of the year, I think he's going to take over the wide receiver 3 position. So that's where I think he ends up going. The situation with the linebackers is going to be interesting because, you know, right now you got Ruben Hippolyte way down. You got Noah Sewell as the number 3. Like, how is that going to play out? But they might just not play him, right? Like, the way it's looking, they just might not play him. They might be playing nickel 70% of the time. You know how much Dennis Allen loves Kyler Gordon. And what's interesting, and I didn't say it earlier, with Dennis Allen not being a head coach now, like, I feel like he's going to get way more creative because he can just hone in on calling defense, right? So it's going to be really interesting with him switching things up in these different fronts that he might be throwing at different teams depending on what their weaknesses are.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, you guys already touched on Burden a little bit, but it's something I don't think we made the point of, but the offensive depth chart here shows 2 starting tight ends and only 2 starting wide receivers. So, you know, Loveland and Kmet are both starting tight ends. If they listed 3 starting wide receivers, they probably still would have Zacchaeus as wide receiver 3, number 1, and Burden behind him. But, I just don't think that Burden being, listed as 4 or 5 here is a slight. Not in the same way it is J.P. Richardson or Kyle Monangai. Monangai is the one guy that I think is going to jump up from running back 6, I think I see him here. Okay. 5 or 6 up to, running back 2, like by week 1, probably.
That's a good call, Bob. And they like what they're seeing out of Roschon Johnson, but it seems like just like last season, maybe he's your goal line or short yardage back. And Monangai is your true number 2 who can pass block and things like that. So, it doesn't matter what it is now. It will matter what it is then, but you still have camp. You still have 3 preseason games. What about real quick? Do we yet know what we think Ben Johnson's philosophy will be in terms of who plays when? And with joint practices, which I know we're going to talk about a little later, do they put more stock in that and then not have to play guys as much? I mean, you're installing 2 new offense, new defense. Should these starters be playing a bit more than we're used to?
When we get into that, when we get to the joint, I think a little bit, I'm going to stay in order because I definitely got a bunch to say about that. But,
all right, I mean, come back to it.
When we get to the joint practices, they're going to be just as physical as what this practice was just this past week, right? I mean, Rob, you got some stuff to say about this one.
Oh, I got some stuff to say about this. So this is all over social media. Like, you got Brad Biggs saying this is something he hasn't seen since the Lovie Smith era. That's 20 years ago, guys. That's how long ago this was. Like, it was a long time ago, right? So this is like Bourbonnais. Greg Bragg saying, hey, CHGO saying, Bourbonnais was the last time I saw this physicality. Patrick Finley was saying that this is the most physical practice he's ever seen in his lifetime. Like, it's just all over social media right now. And I'm just sitting back and I'm just like, I love the media and I love the Bears, but like, recency bias is usually a thing. And it's really frustrating to me that I'm hearing this when literally in 2022, the first year this would be the second year of Justin Fields, right? The Bears got in trouble for having too physical of practice. Like, they literally got sanctioned because their physicality was so bad that they were not listening to the warnings that they were getting from the league. So maybe it's just too much contact versus physicality. Maybe it's a little bit slightly different wording. I wasn't there, so I wasn't there to see it. I'm going to have to take their word for it, but I'm just thinking there's a little bit of recency bias that's being played at right now.
Rob, in 2022, the Bears were working on the HEATS principle. So the league might have thought there were a lot of hits happening, but it was really just that corny acronym that didn't play out at all on the field. So
if I remember right, I do believe that it was like not actual, like somebody tackled somebody. It was before you were even allowed to have pads on or whatever, but like players were kind of like running into each other or something like that, almost accidentally. And that's what they got dinged for. It wasn't like he was trying to, like, was it the Patriots? Somebody actually ran a padded practice before you were allowed to, and they just did that. That's not what the Bears got dinged for. It was more just like they weren't policing, like, just careless contact or something like that.
But again, you're only allowed so many padded practices in training camp. So yes, they've done 5 padded practices in their first 10. But like, let's not act like every other team isn't going to have the same amount of padded practices by the time you get to week 1. Like, come on.
There's a difference though between padded practices and live tackling in padded.
Sure.
Practice. And that's what
that is what people were saying, right?
There was supposed to be one period of live tackling in this practice, and ended up being the entire 2 hours of it. And like, I understand what you're saying, that maybe people are hyping this up, but I think it is getting hyped up. But I think it's getting hyped up because it's universal coming out from all the reporters that that's what it was. Like, even Potash is like, that was physical. Like, everybody said it. So I mean, I think there was something to it being this was legit.
Well, and the timing of it, too, was right after they kind of had a maybe questionable practice, according to Ben Johnson, at FanFest. And so one of the biggest questions all the way back to him as a hot OC candidate was, can he be that guy that, like, runs the room? And this is like his Dan Campbell moment, I guess, coming out, where he's, pushing for the physicality and the players are responding. It sounds like positively. I mean, everything's roses at this point, so we'll see if things start to go south at any point. But I think it's encouraging.
I just don't want to overhype something that could potentially mean nothing.
So, I mean, I'm with you on that, Rob. Like, I'm not saying they're overhyping physicality. I think it was absolutely a very physical practice, as physical as anything they've ever seen covering the team. I just don't know if it's going to result to wins in October and November. Like, I just prove to me that it's going to matter then, I guess. I don't know.
Well, we'll see them against another team right away here. So maybe if they've been this physical and this focused on details, hopefully what's going to show is that you're a little bit ahead of another team. Dolphins kind of mid-range team last year. Bears obviously not even at that level. But when you look at how these teams project into this season, I feel a little more promising about the Bears than I would as a Miami Dolphins fan. But what's best is that you get to see them up against other opponents. There was reports the Bears got into a little scuffles. Things are getting testy in camp. Well, now you get to go against an opponent instead of your own teammates.
That's what's key, right? Like, that's what's key, because you're going to see how these guys play out against other competition. And I think what we're seeing now, and, Justin, you kind of asked about it earlier, you're seeing teams now run these joint practices a little bit more than you are, than the preseason games. And I think part of it is you're not playing the Dolphins, you're not playing the Bills, you're not putting things on tape, right? So you can get things out there in practices and try some things out that maybe, like, you're not willing to show at your during your preseason game where people are actually watching you live, right? So that, I think that's part of it too. But I think guys just are tired of hitting the same guys over and over again. So they just want to, like, go hit somebody else. And I think that's what's going to come into play. And I hope that this is going to be physical. And I hope we hear good reports from both sides, both offense and defense, and it's not just one-sided. But I do have to shout out real quick, because we're talking joint practice. I got to give Gary a big shout out, because thanks to him, I actually get to go to the joint practice against the Bills on the 15th. So I just got to throw that in there before I let you guys talk.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I'm really glad that worked out. That's going to be a lot of fun. But as far as these joint practices, you're right. They are getting more prevalent throughout the league. And I think it's because these coaches get more out of these joint practices than they do the preseason games when it comes to evaluating these players. It's controlled reps. So there's things that the outside elements are just more controlled. So you can say, are they really running the play? And then I think you're going to get more of repetition, right? You can run the same play 3 or 4 times against different looks, but different players, if that makes any sense, right? It's something that the coaches are able to shape more. Say, I want to run third downs all day here. I want to run third downs for the next 30 minutes here, instead of just in a game situation, which a first-time head coach needs to go through the game situations too. But in terms of evaluating third and fourth strings, maybe that game situation is better. But your starters, of the 53 men, they probably already know 48 of these guys, right? So let's look at these 48 in a very controlled environment. Let's get them in the situations I want to see them in, and then make evaluations from that way. I do not expect the starters to play much in the actual game at all. I think that the coaches are going to get everything they want to see out of those starters in these practices.
Yeah, the key word, Bob, you said it a few times, is control. It's nice to get all these looks, and your quarterback is wearing the red jersey. That means you cannot touch me. Whether it's how much stock the Bears are putting in Caleb Williams, or you look on the other side of the ball with Tua and his injury history, neither team wants to see their guys, those high-profile guys, but anyone you anticipate being a starter, out there in meaningless preseason football. So back to my question, it probably won't be as much as I'm hoping for because I'm just itching to see them out there, but we'll have to see how the schemes look with second, third, fourth stringers.
Yeah, and I really think that the Dolphins are a very fascinating matchup for this Bears team too, because Miami's going to be coming in with a weaker defense, kind of a really, really thin secondary, right? And they not much presence on the line. So it should be a much easier matchup for this Bears offense than the defense they've been going against every day until now. So are we going to hear reports that, yeah, the offense was lighting up Miami's defense, and then just athletically, the Miami's offense is going to challenge our Bears defense in a different way, a little bit different run game scheme. Is Tyreek Hill having issues? Is he out of camp right now? Is he demand a trade again? I thought maybe I saw something weird with Tyreek Hill, but
all I saw about Tyreek Hill is that he said that their running back can't handle the third down plays. So
okay. All right, but anyway, that offense is going to be challenging this defense in different ways. So it'll be interesting to see if it still comes out that, yeah, this Bears defense still looks really good against an offense that's been running the same system for 3 or 4 years now. Got a quarterback who is healthy at the moment anyway. So, and one more quick thing about quarterback. I also think just a weird underlying Tua we know has injury issues, concussion issues, and it's persistent. Like it's not like all of a sudden I think you snap a finger and he's just going to be normal again. I think that this is an interesting tryout for Tyson Bagent, actually, for the Miami Dolphins. If he can kind of show himself and something goes down with Tua, maybe Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins are going to make a call if Bagent can look good here in these practices.
2 firsts. 2 first rounders for me.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's an interesting take. I mean, they obviously brought in Zach Wilson this year as their backup. So if Tyson can prove worthy enough, maybe you could just do a swap. You can send us Zach Wilson and we'll just put him on our, as our QB2 and have him go to Miami. But you brought up Bagent as we move on to like the actual preseason game. Like, I think that's what's kind of interesting too, is like, I want to see how he does, and can he outperform the veteran Case Keenum? Because in camp, I mean, all reports are it's been pretty an even battle. I mean, obviously Keenum brings the mentality aspect of things and can do things to help Caleb progress. But I want to see if Bagent can go out and actually just win that position. I don't think we're going to see much starters either, but I'm curious to see. I mean, we're going to see Ozzie Trapillo, right? He's going to be out there. How's he going to do? Is Karen Amagaji going to play? I know he's been dealing with an injury, like back and forth. So, like, how is he going to play? Luke Newman, is he going to show up? Like, is he going to prove to me that he's better than Bill Murray? Obviously, the Shamar Turner injury, that's sad because he's not going to be playing. But yeah, I'm curious to see how these rookies do, the younger guys do, and those are the things that we will see, even if they're running a vanilla defense.
I almost feel weird making a prediction for a preseason game, but
you don't got to give like a score or anything.
Well,
like just predict like what you think to see. It doesn't even have to be like
score. I'm not going to give a score. I'm not a lunatic, but I just think that the energy and the fact that the Bears it's a new regime. You want to go out there and like show out, and you also don't want to be on Monday morning's video being called out and chewed out by your coaches. Obviously, the same is true for Miami. You got guys trying to earn jobs. I couldn't tell you what their depth chart looks like, but I just feel like with the Bears installing 2 new systems and guys really want to prove themselves, to your point earlier, Bob, roster-wise, you think the Bears should have the advantage. I'm hoping it's a big-time showing by the Bears and they look strong in this first game. So that's what I'm predicting and hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect because I don't know who's going to play, right? But I do think if we want to send some credence to the physical practices meaning something, then let's see our fourth stringers beat up on Miami's fourth stringers. I'm not necessarily talking on the scoreboard, but let's make it look physical out there. Make it look like it's a physical challenge, even against our fourth and fifth string, because that means it's being implemented up and down the roster, the physicality. And I'm just going to throw a bunch of names out there that I'm kind of interested in seeing play. JP Richardson, let's just see how he looks on the field. Rob, you already mentioned with Karan Amagaji. I want to see him look like an NFL player. I'm not saying he needs to go out there and dominate second stringers, but he needs to look like he belongs on the field, right? That'd be nice first time we've ever seen that. Defensively, Booker and Robinson, right? Those guys should be making plays. I just need to see them constantly in the backfield. And then Rob, your guy, Ruben Hippolyte, he should be getting almost all the reps. I want him and Sewell out there for the entire first half into the third quarter, just all the reps, and see if they look like football players or not.
Every time Hippolyte comes on the field, Rob's going to be what's that movie with Sandra Bullock? Where's a
bird song?
Yeah,
bird
covering
something?
her eyes the whole time. That'll be you when Hippolyte's out there.
I'm telling you, the only thing that I want to see is no pre-snap penalties or very minimal pre-snap penalties. I want to see like no confusion as they're like getting ready to run plays, whether it's offense or defense, right? I want to see guys that are lined up and they're not getting put out of position. There's attention to detail. That's what I really want to see. I don't care whether you're first, second, third, fourth string. Attention to detail is what's going to make the difference. We've been talking about the Ben Johnson effect. That's what I want to see from this game. And I'm predicting that there'll be a few hiccups, but it'll be way less than what we saw under Matty Eberflus.
I hope you're right.
You better be. All right. Nice job, guys. I liked it.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that comment section. Bear down, claws up, huddle.
The comment can be anything you want.
Anything you want to throw in there. Rob, you're an idiot. Put that in the comment section, and you get entered into the drawing. That's all you got to do. So until the next week, till the next episode, bear down.
Claws up.
Ready, break.